First of all, folks, good morning. We are slightly late today for our session because I was just waiting for the newspaper to come, and I guess these newspaper guys are waking up later than at least I do. The newspaper was released at 5:15 today. So we will be covering today's newspaper tomorrow. We'll also be covering today's newspaper in the econ optional session that we have at 2. That we'll cover. Apart from that, we're also going to cover the economic survey, which is going to be extremely important to understand the nuances that the government has during our weekend sessions. Now, the weekend sessions will be at the same place, Mitras, and also available online. So we'll have a separate program for that, and all of you who are part of D3 or you are part of the econ optional are going to get it. So this is how we have planned up stuff. Now, talking about the agenda for the for today, what I'll do is I will go through the budget briefly. I'll talk about certain nuances, give you an overall macroeconomic picture of the economy. I've uploaded certain documents on the Google Classroom as well, so you can check them out as well. It is named as Budget 25 Survey 24. Now you can see those documents. Those are the ones that we need to go through as a UPSC aspirant. Now, coming to today's agenda, so I will first explain you the budget at a glance, an overview of the budget, what has happened. If you have watched the video of mine on London Top, then that should have given you some kind of a hint into what the government is trying to do, and what exactly is its agenda. And there's a couple of more videos that I will share with you. One is with Aaj Tak, the other is a one-to-one interview at London Top. So there I have explained certain things in detail. So I've explained the employment linked incentive. Remember yesterday we did an article on Praveen Chakravarti's article on employment linked incentive, moving from production linked incentive to employment linked incentive. So which has been incorporated by the government in its budget, and I've explained that in an explainer video. So there are 2-3 explainer videos that I will share with you. Just waiting from the India Today team to release it, and then one from Aaj Tak. All of them, by the way, will be in Hindi, because that is what the rhythm was of that particular place. Now, coming to this year's budget, folks. Now, I'll show you certain documents, but let me first explain you certain things, certain backgrounds, background in which the budget was actually presented. So let's talk about this year's budget. Now, you will read a number of articles today from the budget side. You will see a lot of criticism coming from the side of Congress, from the side of different states. You will see a lot of criticism coming from maybe your parents as well, especially with respect to those who are involved in markets, stock markets, because the tax rate has increased. The security transaction tax has increased slightly. Then long-term capital gains tax has increased. That is also something that people from the middle class and the upper middle class will be concerned with. And then indexation of real estate has been removed. Now I'll explain you what indexation of real estate is. That is also which impacts the upper middle class. Now, typically, if you open up LinkedIn, if you open up people like, say, Ashneer Grover, or say people who are on the high end of the spectrum, I'm forgetting the name of that individual. I keep following him on LinkedIn. He has a startup called Wisdom Hatch, Akshay Srivastav. Basically, all of them are criticizing the government today, that See, the tax rates have increased, the real estate is going to suffer. Yes, to a certain extent, yes, there will be a push towards black economy because of this. But at the same point of time, you have to understand the background in which this budget was being presented. The background was a huge shock to the government, that it could not come to power without the support of its allies, without the support of JDU, as well as without the support of TDP. And therefore you see that these two states have been highlighted separately as compared to all other states. So you have more number of things, or sweeteners given to these two particular coalition states. Now let's understand that background. Why did the government do what it has done? Now, to understand that, let's understand two three flaws through which Indian economy is going through. One of the major flaws in the Indian economy is that we are having something called as jobless growth. We've talked about this often. Yesterday, Praveen Chakravarti's article, we read that there are 65,000 jobs in UP, for which 50 lakh people have applied. So people are going to Russia, people are going to Israel, in war ravaging countries to find work. This shows that there is a huge problem of jobs. You can also see it through. I can feel this particular problem, this particular issue, because of the UPSC aspirants. When I was an aspirant, around 3 lakh people used to apply. Right now, as around 12 lakh people are applying. The four times the number of aspirants, whereas the the number of jobs that have increased have not increased even by 10%. It was almost the same. In fact, it was more earlier, when I was an aspirant. So this shows you a major problem of jobs, and that is why they faced the electoral reverses that they had faced. So we were assuming that jobs will take a key highlight of the entire survey. The other thing is, see, manufacturing. And how do you get more employment? Is that you shift people from agriculture to industry and to manufacturing. Now, we've been reading about this quite a few days, that in quite a few days, if you remember this annual survey of unincorporated enterprises, remember that data that we were talking about, that number of people that are employed in the MSME and this unorganized sector has actually reduced by 16 lakh. So it has moved, if I remember correctly, from somewhere around 160 or somewhere around 120 million to some figure which is below that. I can't recall that figure. Please check that figure. What exactly was this? How many crore people were working with this national unincorporated sector? But what I clearly remember is 16 lakh people had lost their jobs because of the three problems that the economy had faced. The first problem being the shock of demonetization, then the GST, and then the COVID shock. So we had this triple shock, because of which employment had reduced, and the share of manufacturing in our country's GDP has gone down drastically. Instead of increasing from what we had planned, that we will increase it from 16% to 25% between. Yes, I am talking about, Ishika, I'm talking about the informal sector article. I told you that please take this article and put it in your copies, because we are going to use it again and again. This is one data set that I'm going to use it again and again, and instead of going to and fro with that data set, it's better to have these articles clubbed with you, because this is something that you will be using. So make sure that you have that article that I sent you on the group as well. So we were talking about this. So the share of manufacturing has actually gone down between 2015 and 2020, say 22-23. Instead of increasing, it has reduced to 14% or 13%. This is also called as the deindustrialization debate. Some of you would have seen this debate in semester 6 readings of Indian economy, but that's a valid debate to argue on. So we want more, we want people to move out of agriculture. In fact, agriculture's workforce has increased after COVID, from 42% of the entire workforce being working in agriculture before COVID. It has increased to 46%. So which shows people are coming back to agriculture. So we need to pull them out. We need to pull some people out, at least some people out to the MSME sector, and create jobs there. Also we want people to be absorbed, new workforce to be absorbed in the MSME sector. So for that we have taken certain provisions for the MSME sector that we will discuss. Then we also talk about the third thing, which is investments. Now if you remember, this corporate investment debate that we had talked about yesterday as well, and we had talked about that why the corporates are not investing, why they are swimming in profit. Remember that swimming in excess profit, that particular quotation that Indian Express used. So and this is something that I was also discussing at the show, that see what has happened in the last few years from 19 to 23. The corporate profits have quadrupled, whereas the share of or the wages of the employees have only increased by 33%. This is by the way a statistic that we saw in yesterday's newspaper, and this is also mentioned in the economic survey. So which shows that after the honorable finance minister had reduced the corporate tax in 2019 from 30% to approximately 22%, the corporates did not basically pass it on, or did not increase their output. What they did was that they absorbed the excess profit with them. So that was a problematic situation. And now what we are wanting is that the corporate should basically employ more people, b they should also invest more. And the only way that they can invest more, if there is more income at the bottom of the pyramid, if the income increases at the bottom of the pyramid, which is because of employment, then there will be a demand created, and if there is a demand created, these corporates will be willing to supply more, willing to increase their output, so that gap of demand and supply will be met. So these are major focal points of the government, which you need to understand. There are other issues as well, but if we talk about the overall macroeconomic sense, these are the macroeconomic sense. Let me tell you certain this thing as well. Let me just share my screen, and see, this is a document that I've shared with you. This is on India Budget website, which gives you a brief overview, key features of the budget. So it's kind of a presentation. So we have talked about these are the four major areas where the initial budget was also talking about the youth, the farmer, the poor, and women. And these are the four themes. I talked about employment, why employment. I talked about skilling, why skilling. Then MSME, why MSME, and then the middle class, because the middle class, if they increase their income increases, then it helps in the output that is going to be created by MSMEs. So these are the four major themes. Now then we talk about agriculture. Now agriculture, again, there was news that there's nothing introduced with respect to agriculture. That is not true. The government is actually focusing on productivity and resilience in agriculture. What we need is that the agriculture should be resilient to climate change. Now what we are going to see in the next few years is that the impact of the climate change will be much more accentuated. We will have much longer spells of dry spells, we will have much longer, say, flooding spells. Then we will have extreme weather calamities, and because of which what we need is that the overall ecosystem of agriculture should be resilient. So what we need is we need to have new varieties which are climate resilient, and then cultivated by farmers. This can only happen if we increase the agri research. So we need better research through which we invest in seeds, we invest in fertilizers, we invest in irrigation. These are the areas where we invest. And if you remember the data that we had talked about earlier as well, that we are only spending around 0.6% of agri GDP. So for every 100 rupees spent in agriculture, we are only spending 50 to 70 paisa on agri research, which is absolutely criminal. So we are spending more on, say, giving subsidies, fertilizer subsidies and farm loan waivers and all of that crap, which doesn't help in the long run. So we need to focus on these new varieties. Then another issue is that I want you to read, in fact there is a wonderful article, if I remember correctly, and that is from The Wire. Just read that article. How did we lose our Atmanirbharta in oil seeds? We were a completely self-sufficient country in terms of edible oil. How did we lose all of that Atmanirbharta? And this is a major pain point for India, because we need to import a lot of our edible oil from outside. So this is something that we are trying to do. Then supply chain and production, vegetable production and supply chain. This is often asked by UPSC in its mains exam. How do you increase the productivity? So this is one major thing that you can increase. You can have more startups, you can have more players in the agricultural market, you can have cooperatives, farmer producer organizations. But at the same point of time, the infrastructure that we need to invest in agriculture is collection, storage, marketing, transportation, cold storage. All of this is extremely important. So this is with respect to agriculture. Please read this. Then you have employment and skilling. Now for this, there are certain things that the government has done. Give me 1 second, folks. If you see the ELI scheme, now the employment linked incentive. Now the government is basically asking, and this is, you can think of this as something like a nudge that the government is providing to the corporate sector, to the MSME sector, to the majorly to the formal sector, that increase the employment of formal sector, and we are going to pay you certain benefits. So it's going to be a win-win situation for both the entrant as well as the employer. Now the first set of scheme is for the first timers who enter the formal sector. For example, you guys enter the formal sector, and there what you will get is one month's wage to the new entrants in all formal sector in 3 installments up to 15,000 rupees. So that doesn't, and this is only eligible for people who have salaries up to 1 lakh rupees a month. So that doesn't mean that you will get 1 lakh rupees in 3 months. It says that what you will get is, suppose you came out of college, you were employed by one of these things, prisons, these 4 prisons that we have. One is called EY, the other is called as this thing KPMG, and then you have PWC. So the big 4 prisons that you have, if you get employed there, then the government says that I will pay you up to 15,000 rupees, which means 5,000 per month they will pay you, and it is expected to benefit so many people. Then the second scheme is basically job creation in the manufacturing sector for the MSME sector. Now it will give you incentive both to the employee as well as the employer for EPFO contributions in specified skills for the first 4 years. The details are not out yet, but what we are saying is that MSME people, you hire new workers, and so what happens is with EPFO is that both employee and the employer needs to contribute towards the provident fund of the employee. So some contribution goes from the employer, some contribution goes from the employee, and the government is now saying that I will also contribute in that. You don't need, you can reduce your contribution, I will contribute. So it's a win-win situation for both parties. And then support for employers, in this case, in all employment sectors, in all sectors, 3000 rupees per month for 2 years will be given for all new hires. So these are the three benefits that the government has done. Then apart from that, you are establishing women working hostels in every district, which is called as Savitri Bai hostels. If I'm Savitri Bai Phule hostel, please read about that. Then you are also promoting educational loans, skilling loans for up to 20 lakhs for 5 years, and you are opening these 1000 ITI, upgrading these 1000 ITI sectors. And then education loan is also being increased with interest subvention of 3%. So this is something that has happened now for human resources and social justice. Please read about Purvodaya scheme, planned for endowed rich states of eastern part covering Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh for economic opportunities to attain Viksit Bharat. But read about this. This doesn't explain you Purvodaya scheme. Read about it in detail. Then Gaya is now being converted into an industrial node in the Amritsar Kolkata industrial corridor, again because of the use of JDU. Then you can read all of this. A new capital is also being constructed, and then reorganization, financial support is being given to TDP, basically to Andhra Pradesh through TDP. The manufacturing and services credit guarantee scheme for manufacturing sector is already there. Please read about that. Then you have you have something called as Mudra loans. So within Mudra loans there are three categories of loan. There is something called as Shishu, then you have Kishore, and then you have Tarun or Taruna. Then the highest category, which is 10 lakh rupees, that you can take loans up to rupees 10 lakh rupees, up to rupees 10 lakh without any collateral. That has been increased to 20 lakh rupees. So which basically enables the entrepreneurs to borrow more without any collateral, without blocking their any of their capital. And then because they will borrow more, they will produce more. If they produce more, they will be able to sell more. But at the same point of time, they would have to employ more as well through the ELI scheme. So you're tackling both the demand side and the supply side of the MSME sector. Just read about all of these. This is a new internship opportunity that has come up for 1 crore youth in the next 5 years for top 500 companies. Then stamp duty, okay, you can read that. A lot of focus has also come on to PM Awas Yojana, both the urban and the rural. Please read about this particular scheme. What is urban, what is rural, what are the differences between that, and what is the eligibility limit, and how much money is being given by to an individual household for construction of houses. Then energy security, you can read. Infrastructure and this thing. Let's talk about the details, the other details of the budget. This you can read. Next generation reforms are majorly related to rural and urban land related actions. So creating just like you have an Aadhaar card, you are creating a Bhu Aadhaar for all lands, and then linking the maps of subdivision as per current ownership. Also linkages to farmer registries and digitalization of the digital maps. So this is something that they're doing now. Also read about NPS Vatsalya. What is this particular scheme? What is the NPS scheme, and what is this NPS Vatsalya scheme? Then, all right. So another thing that has happened is that you have review of the Income Tax Act 1961. Just like you have these three criminal jurisprudence bills which were replaced by Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and the other two schemes, the other two acts. Now The CRPC has also been replaced, and the Evidence Act has also been replaced. So similarly, the government is saying that maybe it's time to review the Income Tax Act 1961 and replace it with direct tax code. Now read about what this direct tax code is, how is it different, how is it going to be different from the Income Tax Act. And what we have done is simplification for charities and TDS, reduce down the litigation and the penal aspects of the tax structure. Basically saying, earlier it was saying that if you even do small mistake, then you can get a jail term. So now all of that has been reduced, and we are deepening the tax base of the country. Now, reading about just the last few bits, folks, and then I will walk through the newspaper. The last few things that you should understand, the income and expenditure scenario of the government of India. Let me show this to you through this. So this document. This document is the budget at glance. Now, in this document, you should be very clear with certain things. There is something called as, I'll teach you in the budget thing as well. What are these actuals? What are revised estimates? There's a new term called provisional actuals. What is this provisional actuals? And then you have something called as budget estimates. Now, what you need to see is the total receipt. Think of this total receipt as the total income of the government. Now, what does this figure show you? This figure shows you, if you see the zeros, 48,20,512 lakh crore in crore. So basically this, and then after this you have 7 more zeros. So I can say this is 48 trillion rupees. This is 10 raised to the power is basically 1 lakh is 10 raised to the power 5, and 1 crore is 10 raised to the power 7. If you multiply this becomes 10 raised to the power 12. So what we have is 48 trillion rupees, or 48 lakh crore rupees that we have in terms of our receipt, of which 32 is coming from revenue receipts, and 16 is basically coming from capital receipts, which is primarily made up of borrowings itself. So this is how, so you divide this 48 into 32 plus 32 plus 16, and once you see this, within this there is a division of 6 to 4 or 6 to 6 in terms of tax and non-tax revenue. Then expenditure, if you see expenditure, that means this is how much money I have 48 rupees or 48 lakh crore rupees. I can only spend 48 lakh crore rupees, out of which the capital expenditure is 11 lakh, and the rest of the expenditure is what is being done is basically the 37 that is being done on your revenue account. So read about this, read about these definitions. These definitions are very, very important. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will find all the definitions available, just in case if you struggle with any of these. So this is with respect to this. Now coming to the article of the day, or the articles of the day, what do you need to read? So election outcome budget, as I told you, jobs and ELI, PLI to ELI, big relief for startups, angel tax that I was talking about as well. You can read this article just in case if you are from Delhi. Shifting focus from fiscal deficit to debt to GDP, important article. Both these articles are going to be important. Subsidy as well as disinvestment to kickstarting private investment. This government hikes long-term capital tax to 12.5% from 10% and raises FTT. This benefit of property sale, Vivad se Vishwas, TDA, that litigation reduction that is being done. Push for thermal and energy storage, 1 crore house under urban housing. Yes, industry seeks clarification on the internship scheme of the government of India. Then big leap to digitalize farming sector, very, very important, folks. Yes, allies, job concerns and MSME issues. Then read about this particular article, which is hope deferred. Then you have prudence and plumbing, very, very important article. Sajid anyways writes brilliantly, so you need to read it. Setback for the farm, again an important article. Both of these articles you need to read. And Rohit, again you can read this particular article. Rohit happens to be a senior of mine from college. You can again anyways read this. We have already talked about loan mudra limit, that is up. Then interview of Nirmala Sitaraman, if you want to read. Making sense of budget. This is the foreign page. The reason that I took this particular session is to make you understand the nuances of the economic survey. Now you can read the newspaper of the day, and we can discuss it even further in today's session at 2 o'clock. So thank you very much, folks. I will see you today at 2. Bye.